And welcome back to News Center. Thank you very much for staying with us. We want to get into our discussion right now, and I invite you also to just give us your views about everything we'll be discussing here on the show. Hashtag is News Center, or at Betty M. Kello is my Twitter handle. Let me introduce my guests. I'll start from my extreme right, and my guest is Nixon Korir, who's a Langata Member of Parliament. Thank you very much, Nixon, for joining us here on the show. We also have Fabian Muli, who's the Kangundo Member of Parliament. Fabian, thank you for your time too. All right, so I'll start by asking you the question that we are asking our viewers this morning. And of course, yesterday we saw Wafula Chebukati coming out to release names of a new team that will be officiating or conducting or overseeing this particular fresh presidential election. I'll start with you, Nixon. Do you think that this is going to put the final nail on the coffin in regards to credibility of this coming election?
What I would say is that I think it is what we want is a credible election that everyone sees that it is credible. And if Chebukati thinks by doing that it will give us credibility, then so be it. And we don't know the judgment from the Supreme Court, but what we know is that the election is being repeated because of the process, and that means there might be one or two people who omitted or did some things that are not supposed to be done. And if Chebukati, as the chair of the commission, has identified a few errors that was done, and he thinks by changing the staff of the secretariat can help in improving the credibility of the election. So I think that's okay.
Oh, it's okay. Fabian, do you feel like, he had to do something? He was between a hard rock and a hard place. NASA is saying that we're not going to participate in this election with the, commission and the secretariat constituted as is. Do you feel like it was just something that he needed to do, to ensure that, things are different at the commission?
Betty, Chairman Chebukati is sailing on a suspicious boat. And Kenyans have lost faith with IEBC, and they don't have confidence with it. Chebukati, by rushing to give us names, he might be doing the right thing by using the wrong method. We have gone to a stage where we are seeing NASA saying that we don't want to accept the date, we don't trust the IEBC. We are seeing the Jubilee say that the IEBC is the one to go for election, and the Chebukati is giving us the name. What I'm saying, the IEBC now is the heart of Chebukati. Chebukati is supposed to bring the confidence and Satan of IEBC to the community. By doing this, he must show us the structure and the methods it's going to use to bring the justice in this country. Because right now the system are frustrated. This system, they give us the election was not by the court. So what I'm saying to Chebukati, he does need to rush to give us the name. He needs first to call the party concerned. We need to see people from NASA, we need to see people from Jubilee, sitting with IEBC chairman and negotiating. They need to negotiate how it has to be done. They need to negotiate how the panel is supposed to work. Okay, we know the constitution are given the independency, but the IEBC, the independency of IEBC lost. It is lost through the election which we have seen, and the precedence which has marked by the court. So we are saying that Chebukati is supposed to call all the stockholders.
And you're saying that he should call the stakeholders in coming up with the changes at the IEBC.
They should.
But then what level of independence will they have if we keep poking holes in everything that Chebukati does?
Thank you, Betty. This independence of IEBC now, we don't trust it anymore, because he was the driver who drove the car which arrived to the election of 2017, which was now by the court. He might have done the right thing, but are we going to trust it? But for him to bring the confidence, he must bow down and use a system which we are going to accept. He has to respect the Jubilee as a team and consult Jubilee what they feel. He must consult NASA what they feel. He must even consult this guy called Okot. He was also a candidate. He must make sure that all the party concerned, and the Kenyan Consul gives every institution to consult.
All right. But interesting enough, Nixon, I mean, IEBC has been put on the spot quite a number of times. So when they came up with the date, there were questions raised about it. And Raila Odinga said, why didn't you consult? They came up with the names, and now Fabian is saying that, probably they should have held consultations. I mean, thinking about and considering the timeline that we have, maybe about 39 or so days to this October 17th election, do you think that, this pressure is more demeaning for IEBC, or is hindering, IEBC from preparing for the bigger picture, really, which is conducting a fresh election, which is fair?
Betty, you know the narrative. You know what happened before the general election. NASA is taking the same narrative of putting roadblocks in every procedure and every step that IEBC wants to do. You remember before the general election, NASA kept going to court until a few days to election, and that might have hindered the preparedness of the IEBC to delivering a credible election. Now you've seen again, personally, I don't see, this is an independent body that is setting up the election. If everything is okay in terms of delivering the ballot papers on time and opening the polling station on time for Kenyans to vote, that is what we want as a party, to ensure that the ballot papers are on time and the polling stations are open on time for Kenyans to vote. If IEBC was ready tomorrow, we are ready to vote because the Kenyans are the one voting. It is not the IEBC. And therefore,
But IEBC plays a big role in ensuring that after Kenyans vote, their vote is safeguarded.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. If Chebukati felt that there was a few issues that needs to have been handled in a different way, and the officers that were handling them did not handle it in a proper way, and they felt that they need to be excused, and other officers are employed or given that contract to do it like they have done for 3 months, then we don't have a problem. I don't see the reason why NASA want to poke holes in every step that IEBC is doing or want to participate, and yet this is an independent body.
All right.
So all of us will want to even know where the ballot papers are being printed, what are the security features. For example, one of the issues that is coming out that the reason why election was being nullified was that some of the forms that were being Form 34As and Bs did not have security features. Personally, as Nixon Korir, I don't know what are the security features, and I don't want to know. IEBC should know those security features so that when it comes to the time of verification, they can identify that these are our forms and these are not our forms.
All right.
But as a voter, I don't need to know those security features.
All right.
I don't know why.
But as a voter, you also need to know that your vote is going to be safeguarded, right?
Yes, and that is what we are saying. If IEBC can assure us that is being done, and that is what they are doing right now, because that is the basis that made the election to be nullified. It is not the number of votes. There was no rigging in terms of votes. There was no votes added to Uhuru Kenyatta. Actually, Uhuru Kenyatta won.
Interesting. We'll know that in come October 17th, if indeed he did win. Muli, let's talk about Ezra Chiloba. And there are quarters that are asking, and about not even the consultations part of it, but they're asking, if Chiloba is completely out, or does he have him and the other people who've been sidelined or pushed aside, if they still have some level of influence over anything to do with this fresh presidential election. Is that a concern that you have and your party has?
Thank you, Betty. The Kenyan community has a right of persona character. Ezra Chiloba was doing his job, and we are nowhere having judgment that he's the one who has marked the president the election to be nullified. My view is that the election was set to go back. We don't want to go to individual cases to say Chiloba is the one who is bad, Ezra Chiloba is the one who is bad, so and so is bad. Then pointing people will never benefit this country. What I'm saying is, it is the duty and the mandate of IEBC now. Whether the election is tomorrow, after 1 week, Kenyans need fair election. They need to use a proper mechanism to bring the confidence and certain of IEBC first. Immediately they give the confidence, they call for election. I'm not saying that IEBC is bad, Jubilee is bad, NASA is bad. We are going for election. The men have to go and seek for votes. The one who wins, he becomes our father for this country. But what we need the referee. The referee to bring a platform where everybody will feel confident in going for election. I'm saying this because Kenya has marked a good precedence of the world. It is not that easy African country to see them election going back. And again, we should mark another precedence of restructuring electoral bodies to become okay and to give election. If Uhuru Kenyatta wins, he wins. If Raila wins, he wins. The Kenya moves on because the voice of majority has to be heard with the date we set. So I don't want to say that Chiloba is bad or what. We want to restructure IEBC.
All right.
Yeah.
One of the issues that NASA has brought forth is especially about the date, is that IEBC had 60 days to conduct this election, but they reduced that by about maybe 1 or 2 weeks, actually about 2 weeks. And NASA leaders leaders were saying that, are they sure that indeed they are prepared to the point that they can have this election in about 40 days? They need to probably reset, the Kim's kit. They need to look at a number of issues that were brought forward by the Supreme Court ruling. Are they ready to do that? There were also questions about who's going to be printing the ballot papers. Is it Al Ghurair? Do they have to seek new procurement of that company that's going to be doing so? Do you think that IEBC also, it's putting itself in a tight spot, considering the kind of issues that this election is going to be surrounded by?
Betty, I'm sure the chairman of IEBC did not just wake up one day and say we are doing the election on 17th. He must have consulted. He must have taken all those things into consideration, the printing of the ballot papers. I remember even the other day NASA was saying the reason why they were pushing some cases in court, they said, you don't need a month to print ballot papers. It is only the presidential ballot papers we are printing. You don't need a week. In fact, they were saying we only need 7 days and you can print and deliver.
Yes.
So I think without speculation, I think the chairman of the IEBC had consulted, and they have experts. We are not expert into this.
Yes.
And they have experts, and they had consulted, and they took all those things into consideration, and they decided that 17th is okay. And in any case, the court said the election to be repeated within 60 days.
Within 60 days.
Yes.
The other issue is to do with the examinations, and you've heard the Catholic bishops coming out to say that it's not fair for for us to tamper or change the examination dates for KCSE and KCPE, because we'll be disenfranchising about 1.5 million students who've been preparing for this day. And NASA yesterday came out and said that it's okay to postpone the election. They're not the election, but the examinations. It happened before during Moi's regime, and it would not hurt to postpone the examination so that we could have enough time for IEBC to prepare and just have that election within 60 days. Fabian, what's your take on that?
One, when you postpone election, examination, you're going to add the kids in this country. When you are preparing for examination, then somebody tells you do another month or it has been cancelled. It is not fair. But what I'm saying, it is a challenge from the Constitution. Our Kenyan Constitution says that election, if fresh election, repetition, is supposed to be within 60 days. So given the 60 days in the Constitution, we must, as a team, get date as a team. We are only complaining that as a team, we were not involved with the date. So our date of 17, date of 24, date of tomorrow, date of another day is a good day, considering all the mechanisms are set. We are not saying that the paper cannot be printed. Paper can be printed in 2 days. This can be done in this day. If it's about the issue of schools, there are bodies which are concerned for schools. When they are having a meeting to consolidate about the fixing of the date, they need to have the people from school to express if this exam is postponed, the kids will be armed. So what I'm still insisting, IEBC should call stockholders for consultation.
But Jubilee has not come out to say that they needed to be part of the consultations. It's only NASA that seems aggrieved by that.
When we say independency of a body, it is now the IEBC to exercise the independency to send the letters expressing the interest or requesting them to participate. So that is where the part of independency of IEBC. And when the independence has been expressed by IEBC, by calling stockholders, that to show the willingness to make all the team feel confidence for the IEBC.
All right.
I want to say IEBC acted according to the law. They were given 60 days, 60 days to set a date. And they did. As Jubilee, we are not complaining, and yet we are aggrieved. We had been declared the winner. And they're saying we are doing in 60 days. We are not saying, why didn't you consult us? We are not ready here and there. I mean, the voters are ready to vote. And the IEBC is saying we will be ready by 17th. I don't see any problem with that. In any case, we've had by-elections before. This is, if I was just to compare, where IEBC sets the dates for the aspirants, for the by-election to be done.
Right.
There is no time an aspirant is called to be asked, are you okay with this Friday, 17th, or are you okay with this second day of this month? It is the IEBC that set the dates. We comply.
All right, but then the other thing that IEBC, it has been blamed for allegedly dancing to the beat of Jubilee, because, in the morning, Fred Matiang'i comes out and says that IEBC should hold this election on the 17th of October. And by the close of business, IEBC comes out and actually confirms that the election is going to be held on the same date that Matiang'i had proposed. And therefore, the quarters that are feeling that, IEBC is still playing to some level to the beat of Jubilee, and maybe that's why you're not as aggrieved as NASA.
Those are just speculation. These are just speculation and rumors.
I think there are something which you need to understand.
Right.
There are general rules for the general practice, and there are principles which bring the rule of natural justice to be filled to the moral of human being. It is not that you continue doing things because the law says this. There is a feel to feel you are a human being, and you feel to accept the other person. It is the duty now of Chebukati. You know, Jubilee might not be opposing.
Yeah.
And actually, for NASA opposing, it might be the benefit for Jubilee. And also, Jubilee for accepting, it might also benefit for NASA. This is what we call general operationals. So we need, as a team, to understand that. Apart from we who are participating in election, there are people who have no interest with elections. There are people only their work is to vote for us and lead us. So we need to understand these people. They need their country to move on. They need to be doing their thing. They don't want to have been this noise of politics, election be this, do this, that. And the Chebukati is supposed now to act. He's acting, he's a lawyer. He's somebody who knows what the law pertains. They also knows what is the rule of natural justice. He's supposed to participate for the sake of Kenyan citizen who does not have interest with politics, and they sit down and ask, why is it that Jubilee say this? Why not say this? Even a quarrel, I say it is need also to be part of there because we are repeating election. Then bring your expression, and your expression is the one which you are going to attain. They might even say we have election on 16th. Who said we are scared election after 1 week? Who said election is supposed to be 20? We want the independency of IEBC to be respected, but to act according to the justice of every Kenyan citizen.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll come back to the discussion, and we'll be going deeper into some of the remarks that have been made on the campaign trail so far by both Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, and quite a number of other issues that we'll be talking about. So that's coming up after this short commercial break. Keep your views coming. In regards to our Twitter poll, remember we are asking you if you think that IEBC, the changes at IEBC in